The first thing we must do as aircrew is head off to the briefing room, where we'll work out our flight plan and the route across wherever we're going to fly. Now in our case, we probably wouldn't know in advance what route we were going to take. So the first sort of port of call for me is Flight Radar 24, where we can see all the hundreds and hundreds of routes throughout the world, and pick one of them to fly. So we've got the filters on at the moment, and this filter gives us all the aircraft up to and including the size of a Boeing 737 or a 738, but particularly we want to look at Boeing 738s, as that's what we're going to be flying. So that filters out what we need in terms of possible flights with 737s. So we can get rid of the filter for the moment, it's still in the background. Now to find out where we want to go, we can just pick anywhere as an example. So let's pick Innsbruck. It's a little bit slow this, but if we pick Innsbruck, which is there, we can actually pop Innsbruck into the search up the top here. It's possibly already in there. LAWI, yep it is. So if we look at Innsbruck, we can then check all the departures going out of Innsbruck with 737 or 738 aircraft. So if we look at the departures, there we go. Departures will come up over this side, and we can look all the way down there to see which aircraft fly which routes. We can see there's one going to Rotterdam, that's a 738. We're going to go to, where are we going to go? We're going to go to Amsterdam. We've already highlighted Amsterdam here, and that's a 738. It gives it the departure time, or the scheduled time, the actual time, time of arrival, the airline, and what the aircraft is with its equipment. And we can then go to the flight information and think, oh okay, where's this aircraft going to be flying? There it is there. This particular one was back in sometime yesterday, 22nd of February. There it is there. Well actually it's real time because they're a day behind us, of course. And that gives us the flight path from Innsbruck up through Germany and across through the Netherlands to Amsterdam. Our average flight time for that is 1 hour and 18 minutes, and the actual flight time is 1:18. And of course you've got either side of that, you've got taxi time, which could be a fair while in Amsterdam because it's rather a large airport. But that gives it to us, and we can replay that, and you can see the aircraft up here going through, and it gives its altitude, its vertical speed at any particular given point. So obviously this one is flying at 40,000 feet, flight level 400. So anyway, that gives us the flight that we want, and the next go-to after that of finding the route is to say, okay, we need to find a route, an actual route throughout the world. Now there's a program put out in England, we have it here, and I've already done the search through here for aircraft flying in that particular route, and here it is taking off from Innsbruck going to Amsterdam, this particular one, Boeing 737-800. I don't know when it actually did this. There we go, 24th of December 2022. The alternate airport is Rotterdam, and here we have highlighted the actual route that aircraft flew. So there we have it, and we're going to use that in a while when we get to the next program. So we've decided that we're going to go from Innsbruck to Amsterdam. We've got an actual route that we can fly. Now we go to our program of SimBrief. Now SimBrief is where we do all our actual planning. So let's get rid of this and we'll actually put up a new flight. I'll work you through the actual flight. That's there we go. Right, so the airline in our case is going to be Qantas. The flight number in our case is going to be QF234. We're departing from Lima Oscar Whiskey India, and we are going to arrive at Echo Hotel Alpha Eham. Right, the alternate we found out was going to be Rotterdam. We'll put this time down at further in advance of 10:30. The airframe that we're going to use is VHLRT 737-800NG, and it's going to be a Qantas, and that'll calculate a few things for us. We have a climb profile, cost index, which gives us our fuel burn for the best economy, a descent profile for the same reasons, and some other information. I won't go into it in detail because there's a lot of information here to absorb. Our air rack details are current for our NOTAMs, etc. We've got our scheduled times and block times and the runways, 26, 36, etc, etc. So there's a lot of information in here. We've also got a route which has been worked out for us, and there we see it across Europe. Now that may not necessarily be the route that we fly, and you'll see that in a moment. That route has been analysed and it says that is valid for AirAC 2301, which means it's valid for January 2023. The rest of the situation here we don't need. So we've now basically set up our flight. We save that and we call that Innsbruck to Amsterdam. Innsbruck to Amsterdam, and we save that flight. So that's gone off and been saved into our particular folder. There it is there, and we find it is in downloads, so we can come back to that. Now once we've saved the flight, we need to generate all the aspects of it. There we have the generated flight. It gives us our flight numbers, departures, arrival, alternate, and it's already put an alternate in for us, the aircraft we're flying, all the times relevant to the flight, the flight plan summary. It says we're going to initially be flying at 36,000 feet, but I do believe from the route that we're going to put in that this will change to 40,000. So we shall change that to 40,000. Oh, we can't change that. We'll have to change that subsequently. And all our load sheet, which gives us all our weights and balances. So there we have that. Now there is the route. We now go back to our route that we were looking at here, the actual route with a real live flying aircraft in the world, and we copy that route and come back to SimBrief, and we can now paste that route. Paste that route into there. No, we can't. We have to go back. We have to go back and edit the original. These little quirks crop up. So there we have our original flight plan that we saved. Now we come down to the route here. We now copy and paste that route into here, and it says this route has not been analysed because it's a new route. We analyse the route, and yep, sure enough, it is okay, but it has changed where we fly. So the generated one by the program flew across this part of Europe, and the actual one that flies, this particular one, flew that route. So we're going to use that. So okay, now we can go back to saving that flight. We don't want to save it as a new flight. No, we've already got it. We'll generate that. And there we have it, with all the relevant information for our flight. We can show the flight plan for our air traffic control, which is great. We've got that. We've got all the NOTAMs for the various airports, departure, arrival and alternate in here, but this is the bit that is what we want. And here we have the complete flight plan, working flight plan for our trip. Now I won't go into detail because it has all the parameters here, all the fuel burns, etc, etc, landing and takeoff weights, cruise, winds, all the en route winds data, and our actual log that we fill in en route with our estimated time of arrival and actual time of arrival at all these particular waypoints. That has to be filled out as we go, and that goes on and on and on with all the NOTAMs, etc, 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 all the way down. Quite involved. And at the end of that report we have the maps that shows our flight plan as in over here. Then we go to significant weather and the various winds at the various levels. That's at flight level 300, this is at 340, and this is at 390. So we're flying just above that, but there is our profile, taking off from Innsbruck, climbing. We have a short area somewhere just after the Alps, where we're flying at 40,000 feet, and then we go down to about 36 or 37,000 feet, whatever it is, 36,000 probably, possibly because of winds, and then our descent into Amsterdam. So that gives us our complete briefing package of where we're going and how we're going to be doing it. There is the passenger count here. We can change that. At the moment we've got 174. Their baggage is accounted for in these weights. We're not taking any cargo, but that's our load sheet, which we'll refer to later. Now once we've done that, we've got to save, or we've already saved that as a flight plan. And now we go to our next program, which is the charts. I've already put this in, but I'll give you an indication of how we do it. We go to our flight symbol here. We go to, we'll hide that, go to that, we'll unload that flight that we just put in there. We'll go to import flight, and we'll import that directly from SimBrief. It's probably easier at this point, but we've already got it in the filing system as well. We can do it from either, but we'll import it directly from SimBrief, and there it is there, LOWI to Innsbruck, Innsbruck to Amsterdam. If we download that, it then comes into our charts here. Now when we look at this, we can then plan how we're going to deliver this properly, and that is we look at runway 26 in Innsbruck, we can either go, broadly speaking in here, east to west or west to east, but we're going to use runway 26. We've got no headwind or tailwind, but we've got a 2-knot crosswind, so that's fine. So it's runway 26. We select the departures. Now this has already selected it for us for taking off at this particular one here. So we add that to the route, and there it is. It adds it to the route. Then we've come down to our destination, and having looked at the weather pattern, which we can pull up from our CDU here, so we can actually go to our FMC CDU, same thing. We can go to requests here, and we can ask for the weather, the actual weather at Amsterdam, and we can send that off, and there it is. And we look at this, the weather's from 320 at 6 knots. This is current at the moment. So we come down to here and look at our destination, where we've decided we're going to use runway 36 right by looking at the charts, and we have a choice of about 6 or 8 runways. So from there we travel up to here. Now we've got to find out the approach or the arrival into Amsterdam. So we look at the arrivals, and we look at this, and there's heaps and heaps of them around here, quite a few, but it has already looked at it and said we are probably going to use this Nork 2A arrival. There it is, and we add that to the route automatically. There it is. And now we need to find the actual approach to landing, and that comes in here. There's 36 of them apparently, and this is already said we're going to use the ILS to runway 36, which is up here. That's the one that's selected, ILS to runway 36. That's the instrument landing system. So we add that to the route as well, and bingo, here it is. Quite an interesting entry into Amsterdam. It flies in more or less over the airstrip, comes back out and does a loop before landing. This bit here indicates the missed approach, so that if we do miss an approach, this is where we go, straight ahead. So everything's in there. Now, okay, that's the planning. We're still in the briefing room, and now we need to get that into our FMC, our flight management computer. So there's our flight management computer. What we need to do here is to send that from our instructor station here. Now once we've done all that and got the entry into Amsterdam, we export that flight plan in the P3D.pln format. So we export that into our folder that we need. I've already done it, there it is there. So we go out of that program into our instructor station program. I've already put it in here, but we'll go through the process. So we import the flight plan from our file here, open it in this program, there we have it, and then we export that to our flight management system. Right, it's already in there. Now if we look at our FMC, there it is. So we have the whole route in and done. Now in this case we have a discontinuity. We have to delete that out of the system, and we have another one somewhere else. No, we haven't. There it is. And we execute that, root loaded, and there we have it. We're ready to fly. So let's get into the cockpit. We've got a few adjustments in this to do once we get into the actual cockpit, but we've done our flight planning. We've looked at the weather at the other end. We've looked at the weather charts on the other various programs, and we're ready to go. See you in the cockpit.